Now, I'm excited because I don't normally have friends in the studio, and I've got 1, 2, 3 people in the studio today. This is great.
4, including yourself.
I didn't even count myself. No, but that's other people.
But that's probably worthwhile that you didn't count yourself this time.
I never count myself. Anyway, of course, as we do on a Monday is TechnoBiz with Craig Neill. We've just wrapped up our chat about the mobile wars. All the podcasts are up there. So actually, I've got speaking to a lot of friends who actually came to me this weekend. They're like, oh, dude, like, you know, BlackBerry and it's not working. Like, what phone must I get? I said, well, dude, you know what I do? You know, we've been talking about this. Go and listen to the podcast, and then you'll know which mobile to go with or which smartphone to go with. So
we've probably got, 2 to 3 hours of solid, straight through one to the end of all the phones, of all the technologies, of all the backgrounds. There's plenty there to help people decide.
Covers everything. And this morning, we actually have a new friend in studio, Christelle Fourie, who's the Managing Director of MUA Insurance Acceptances. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
Good, thank you. Great to have you in the studio this morning. And today's topic, we're talking about how technology is changing the insurance industry, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you and I both know, one of the biggest bugbears as consumers of insurance products is merely the cost of insurance and the fact that it's one of those, pay, get nothing back. And the fraud obviously rises our costs per hour and our costs, per policy and so on. So I thought what would be very relevant today is, we're talking about technology and how technology changes, the industry. And we've been focusing, like you said, on mobile, on a variety of different areas. So if we now change it slightly, and Christelle, thank you very much for joining us today. Christelle has a wealth of knowledge in the insurance space. She's been involved now for 20 years. Approximately.
Yes.
And I believe that you left Matric and you went straight into, started off as an underwriting clerk at Santam. And by the age of 25, you were the founding managing director of Thatch Risk Acceptances. So very quick start to your career and very fast. And apparently now as well, your name is known everywhere. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say that, but we try and spread the message.
So Christelle, thank you very much for coming through. One of the things that we would like to explore a bit with you is more how technology today is, helping us as consumers from an assured point of view. How do we cut back on the amount of costs that we incur as the kind of the people who are insured, who are not committing fraud, who are not misbehaving, because obviously we're paying for people who are and so on. That, and I think is a bugbear for most of us. Chris, you'll probably agree with me as well. You're paying, let's say, 1,000 Rand a month for your insurance, and you may never claim for 5 years. And there are other guys who pay 1,000 Rand a month and they claim twice a year. And that's obviously a bit of a problematic issue. So, Christelle, the first thing I want to ask you is, in terms of today, how insurers today embracing technology, from your perspective to aid. So first of all, in the sales, so how are you expanding business from an insured perspective with technology?
Okay, there's a whole lot of questions in that one question, but I think...
Well done,
Let me start by saying that if we as insurers and underwriters can bring down the cost of managing our insurance portfolios, the consumer will benefit from that at the end of the day. Insurance is all about data. It's all about managing data, flows of data, and the more we can do that through technology and making it seamless, the more cost effective it becomes to manage that portfolio. Using technology to distribute our insurance products, that's, I think, ultimately the reason why the direct insurers are doing so extremely well is because they've embraced technology. They don't just use technology to distribute, but they use technology to analyze their portfolios, to come up with very sharp rating tools and rating models, pricing the client correctly. And all of this is done through systems. It's not personal human intervention going, I think you should pay so much. The system produces the right premium. So they're becoming more and more and more sophisticated, and then they're becoming a lot more cost effective on the good risks. How can you save money? To say that you pay for 5 years and you never claim, and then I think the most important thing is to be with an insurer or an underwriter where when you do have that claim once every 5 years, you get paid out. Because at the end of the day, insurance is based on the pool or the principle of the contributions of the many to cover the losses of the few. So it's not a maintenance policy. It's not there to pay out the bad claims. It's there to pay out the claims that are covered when you have a problem, you're covered as well.
So how are you finding at the moment now? If you look at the amount of fraud that goes on in the insurance industry, I've know of one or two people who've said in the past that, I bumped my car in the front and I had an accident, but, I got them to fix my back as well. Now, the back's obviously unrelated. Now, I can't tell you who that was. But, that kind of thing actually upsets me a bit because I think, now, hold on. So you've had this accident. You've had a legitimate claim, but now you've piled on another 10,000 Rand, which effectively the rest of us are paying for because that wasn't really legitimate. What are you doing from an insurance point of view, technology? How are you going to manage that?
Okay. You talk about motor claims. What we have been seeing as insurance underwriters is a huge increase in the people trying to submit claims that aren't covered. It could be fraudulent, but it's what we've seen more than anything is claims on homes that are maintenance related. That F&B index came out the other day, and I speak under correction, but about 5 years ago, we were spending, a certain percentage of our disposable income on maintaining our homes. That's dropped down dramatically. So people are not maintaining their homes. First winter rain comes along, and you pick up these claims. What we do in terms of technology is we've got, there's some technology, that's out there that's really quite, people don't like it, but it's multi-layered voice analysis. Some insurance companies use it. So when you report your claim, they actually, in your voice, hear if the claim is fraudulent or not.
How accurate is that?
You speak, different people have different opinions. As we won't embark on something like that until it's properly, proven. But some of the leading insurance companies are actually using it. And they say it's very accurate. And basically what they do is they use it to fast track claims. So they try and figure out who are the clients who are really, really honest.
Yeah.
And those claims just go through. And then the claims that they feel there's some element of dishonesty, those claims get investigated. So it's actually to the benefit of the honest individual, but you don't want to be caught in that pool of not honest
especially
people.
if you are honest.
Especially if you are honest.
You get told you're not.
Absolutely. So that's quite an interesting piece of technology that's being used by the industry to try and fraud out, get rid of the fraudulent claims out there.
And I believe another thing that the industry is moving towards at the moment is what we call telematics. So
yes.
what is telematics? Because you're on a drive at the moment to push the telematics within your own organization. So what does it mean?
Well, this is really essentially technology, and I'll talk about the technology now, of the motor manufacturers and the tracking companies that we as an insurance underwriter trying to tap into through our systems. So it's bringing all these pieces of technology together. Telematics is a box that's being installed in the vehicle that really tracks the individual's driving behavior. And that's where we want to end up. If you're a good motor driver user, you want to be priced on that. So you want to know, I believe I'm a really safe driver. So I don't.
So we can take Chris completely out of this equation.
No, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't like that.
We know how you drive.
I've been driving for 11 years, touch wood. I've never had an accident.
No, you shouldn't have said that.
But if you look at my driving style based on acceleration and braking, you might nail me quite heavily.
But now, in terms of braking, sudden acceleration, sudden stopping, does that necessarily mean you're a bad driver?
Well, there's a whole number of factors that are being taken into account, and that builds a profile. So it's harsh. I can never say the word. Harsh acceleration and braking, harsh cornering, changing lanes quickly, driving at strange times of the day. So unless you're working, you drive a lot between 12 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And then obviously speeding. So it does build because, it does. So Chris is, for instance, a client that won't choose the telematics option.
No.
But let's think about where this will be a really, really, really useful tool. We have a massive problem in this country in that young drivers are being charged 3-4 times adult drivers are being charged. And it's often not fair. It's just based on normal statistical analysis. Yeah. We've gone and we've said over the years, young drivers are bad drivers because they don't have the experience. Men are also charged higher premiums than women.
But is that fair? That is one of my questions I wanted to ask you.
Before we get to that, though, that's also a really nice application for businesses as well, especially if you've got drivers and company cars out there, because then that will actually help track your drivers and make sure that they
That's already available quite a bit. It's fleet management.
Yeah.
Basically, the concept of fleet management is being used now for individuals. So we want to put a driver policy out there for young drivers, and where we actually look at the young drivers' real driving behavior. That's the one thing. But then we have clients in our world who own more than one car, 3 or 4 cars. It's a family, and some people just don't like selling cars because they don't get a proper trade-in on it, so they keep it. You can't drive all 4 cars at once, so Telematics will be able to really give the benefit of the low mileage to those vehicles. And then the major advantage is there's a little thing in the box that measures G-force. If you bump into the sidewalk and it goes over 3 Gs, it sends a signal off to our emergency contact center. So even if it's a hectic accident and it's your daughter, 18 years old, 10 o'clock at night, somewhere next to the road, we send out an emergency response vehicle. We take the car to the right panel beater, and we actually make sure that you get that correct emergency roadside assistance, not reactively. We actually react to. We don't have to wait for a.
I actually watched a movie, Horrible Bosses, on the weekend, right?
Yes,
in
I've seen
there,
that.
there's the car with Gregory, who's the sat-nav system. But it says, it works like that. You've had a collision now, we're sending emergency services to you. And that's a great safety application for many people. I push 3 Gs around corners, but that's I drive a Velocity, so...
But now, you obviously insure a lot of the more upper-end vehicles, the Ferraris, Lamborghinis, etc. Now, is it a direct correlation between speed and accidents in the insured world? So, I mean, will you be able to get alerts, for example, to say, Craig is continuously driving 200 k's an hour, notify him that you could potentially repudiate a claim if you had one? Is that kind of the level you're going to, or is this more...
Okay, we're touching on a few things again then. The same question again.
I like to bombard you with questions.
Let me just say that these supercar and exotic car drivers are our best drivers. We Ferrari drivers are fantastic drivers to insure.
I suppose they're driving a 2 million rand vehicle, so
they're driving it, and they worked hard to get that car, and they, if it's written off, it is mostly just because it was just some really bad accident, or it was really late at night, 3 o'clock in the morning, on their way back from somewhere, and then that's got other implications. If you talk about female and male drivers, I just want to touch on that because you didn't come back to it. Internationally, the statistics show us that women make fewer accidents that are less severe. And I've often thought about this. We don't really have a female driver discount factor in our rating model because we look at the individual. But the reality is that women are more risk averse. They often have children in the cars or families in the car with them. They avoid risky situations. Guys often travel alone. They like speed. They might take more chances because that's in the nature of the beast, the male. So that's why.
Not me, maybe Chris.
we do things properly. If you're gonna have an accident, do it properly at least.
But we're not saying that female drivers are better drivers than males. What we are saying is that females, make less accidents that are less severe. And also, the other thing is, if you look at the Medical Research Council statistics released for 2009, this is a shocking statistic. You can go and check it out. Over 90% of road fatalities, drivers were male.
Sure.
So I think that kind of reaffirms your position.
Unfortunately, that's the reason why there is this whole trend. But now, interestingly enough, in the European Union, the courts have ruled that it's unfair discrimination to give female drivers a discount. So from the 31st of December 2012, that no insurance company in Europe is allowed to give a female driver a discount. The next court case that's being looked at is age discounts or age loadings. Essentially, what it says is you can't change your gender. Well, obviously there are exceptions.
Craig, that's next weekend.
But
Hey.
you won't do that
Let me
through
tell you,
insurance discount.
just as a slight detour, we did a system for a company where we put in male, female as gender, and they came back to us and said, no, you have to add a third one called other. So
No,
there
but
are
it's the minority.
alternates.
and so we have to move to this place where you can actually determine the individual's driving behavior, and telematics is key to that. Because if you can't give discounts for or rate on gender and age, and then the next thing might be, well, it's unfair to discriminate against where I live because I can't choose where I live because I can only afford to live in certain areas.
Yes.
So the future of motor insurance internationally is being pegged to be through telematics. I know there's a big concern around Big Brother in your car, and there's a lot of security that's built into the little unit around what can be made available to the insurance company and whatnot. And in Europe, I went to visit a leading telematics company in Rome at the beginning of this year. They've got 1.9 users throughout Europe. They had the same concern there when they launched insurance telematics 10 years ago. It's all gone because the benefits far outweigh the whole fear against Big Brother. But we just have to, we're behind the curve, about 5 years behind in South Africa. We need to get there.
Yeah.
Sure
do you think it will become a standard, as a prerequisite across all the insurance companies?
Well, the vehicles that are being manufactured, that some of the vehicles coming off the manufacturing lines now already have the telematics technology installed, and the current technology. Okay, I've used up my 7,000 words for the day, English words. The current telematics manufacturers or providers are moving towards just providing the software. So almost like, having the hardware being built into the vehicle, and the insurance telematics providers would then just make that software program available.
Yeah. I'm just thinking there with Chris now, for example, if you can set warning signs that say when you drive erratically, obviously you can send messages and say, bing, bing, you're exceeding your G-forces, you're doing this and that.
It's already available. And also, this whole driverless vehicle and also the car taking control to prevent accidents.
Yes.
They say it's all going to be through the telematics unit. That's where the technology is coming from.
So driving, I assume, with one of these units in the car, I will eventually bring my premium down or make safety an improvement, obviously, from a general public point of view. Do you see insurance premiums going down in the long term with this for certain people?
If we can bring accidents down, the insurance premiums will come down. Another interesting statistic, 2005, 70% of all, if you look at the motor insurance pool in South Africa, 70% of that pool was paid towards stolen and hijacked vehicles. That has come down all the way to 7% because of the tracking companies being so effective, again, through the use of technology. So they've all but eradicated that whole massive problem that we had. Now, almost 70% of your motor insurance premium goes towards the cost of repairs. Because think about it. If you buy a car, your value keeps on coming down, but the part prices keep on going up with inflation, and it's tied to the exchange rate. So that goes, increases by 10, 12% year on year, but your value of your car comes down. Your insurance premium needs to be pitched at the right level to cater for that increase. No one can understand that. Because you think your car, but the cost to repair the car, the first 70% of the value of that vehicle, that remains the same. In fact, it goes up every year, even though your value comes down.
Disproportionate.
Yeah. So what we believe is, if we can make the car more intelligent through telematics and avoid smaller accidents. So, for instance, this park distance control thing, the cameras that we're seeing, yes, it's very expensive to repair the vehicles when they are in an accident, but I'm absolutely convinced that we're seeing less bumper bumps,
bumper bashing.
Bumper bashings, that we are being warned of the smaller accidents, and that the premiums will come down.
Did you see there was, and I think it was, Christelle, you sent the mail out where there was an app that the guys have built in Japan or China or something, and you put your iPhone or your smartphone on your dashboard, and as you're busy driving, this application's got a bit of intelligence built in, and it works out if you are accelerating too quickly towards the vehicle in front of you, and it automatically alerts you and warns you. So the whole driver behavior landscape is definitely changing. And going straight back to our discussion around mobility and technology and wars around that, if you look at the adoption of it, now I stand to be corrected. Some of the telematics units, the one in particular that we were busy with, and not incidentally the one that you're busy with in terms of yours, but just in terms of the back end, is running on Android.
Yeah.
So again, you look at the whole mobility from last week and operating systems. Android has taken the market, in terms of smartphones, tablet devices, telematics. Back ends, little robots that are running around. That's an interesting discussion too.
Well, you see, that was the question I was about to ask. Are we going to see a mobile application coming out where you can manage your car's telematics, your insurance, so you have a direct connection with your insurer saying, hey, you see, you're smiling. I'm asking the right question. You see, I'm onto something.
You read off my script.
No, I didn't. I promise. But will we see a mobile app that you can manage all your insurance through your app, plus then also the feedback from your telematics in your car saying, okay, do you, like, Chris, a little heavy there on the foot, you got to ease off a little bit?
Yeah, this is absolutely key. You can't have this app, this technology, and not have the feedback, because it's you don't know what you don't know. So that what they've seen specifically in Europe around the behavior of these individuals is the more you know about your behavior, the better the driving behavior becomes. So yes, we're busy developing an app for our clients where you'll be able to access this information, interact with your insurance underwriter, request information, get a quote, emergency response services, all those kind of things.
I think it'll be fantastic. You think about when you buy yourself, let's say you have an accident, for example, and you drive into the back of somebody. Now, there are 20 things to remember as you're going through this whole process. The guy's photograph, his registration plate, his ID number. And I suppose technology is kind of going that way, Christelle. It actually drives you to capture that information, to run you through the process, and perhaps even submit it and take you through that whole automated process, make things a bit easier.
That would help a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk cost, though. Obviously, having this installed in your car and the management thereof, and then the apps, and then this and then that, is that going to be loaded into your premiums? Who's going to pay for that at the end of the day, ultimately?
It's a shared cost between the telematics providers. We partnered with Netstar South Africa through a company in Europe called Octo Telematics. The cost of that unit is really not much. It's actually, instead of getting a tracking device installed, you just get a telematics tracking device installed. It costs the same. So they've just basically increased their technology in the unit that they install to cater for insurance as well. The apps are free. We pay for it. DVT is a fantastic technology partner, so they don't, that it's not so... we find that the development of these apps aren't as massive compared to what we used to with our systems development. So it's a reasonably cost-effective way to provide a great service to our clients.
And if you're driving better, your fuel consumption will go down. So
CO2,
your
insurance will go down.
Your insurance will go down. Plus, you won't have so many accidents, and you won't have to deal with things. So in actual fact, that cost will be outweighed by all the benefits at the end of the day.
We're going to give a starter discount. So if you take up the option, you get a 15% discount on your premium. That will more than cater for the actual cost of the monthly telematics or tracking device. So it's not having just the telematics. You'll also have track and recovery. So you're getting much more value for your money. Yeah.
So then,
one last question, Christelle. Do you have one installed in your car?
Yes, I do.
And what are the?
Can you please flash on my dashboard?
Can you please share that report with us?
I'm happy to share it. I don't have one red flash on my dashboard.
Excellent.
So they go on the dashboard from green to red, and you actually get measures. It's a really simple diagram.
That doesn't work for a man's mind, because then challenge accepted. I want that red button.
I think we must actually put one in your vehicle and report on it in a month's time.
Why don't we do it?
We'll bring Christelle back in the studio, and then we'll talk about your driving behavior.
Experience. We'll do that.
Okay, let's do that. Challenge
You're not
accepted.
insured with us, so it won't impact on your insurance.
That's the next question. So somebody's now listening, and they're listening to the podcast or whatever, and they're like, this is fantastic. I want telematics, and I want to be involved. When are we going to see it roll out? How do you get it? How do you get involved? Where do you find out more details? When are we going to see the mobile apps? How do we find out more information?
Okay, we're going live with our telematics solution middle of August. So it's the MUA website, mua.co.za. We're a motor specialist underwriter, so we do try and be at the ahead of the curve. And then the app, when is the app going to be ready, Craig?
Yeah, Craig.
Please turn those cameras off.
Off the record.
Soon.
No, it will probably be ready within the next, let's say, 2 months once it's gone through the whole cycle in terms of testing. We've got a couple of, pre-release beta tests to do, but I think it's going to be fantastic. It fully integrates with the back end, in terms of your behavior, in terms of your reporting. So you can sit and you can have a look at it from your side and say, well, I can see I'm actually driving a bit like a moron, so
like a Chris Kolbe.
Yeah, like a Chris Kolbe. So,
but Chris, you'll be able to access your information online through the website portal. So already, so
while the app's being wrapped up and before it's ready, the first step is obviously to get the system installed in your car and learn how it works. And as you say, you can track it on the website as well. So there's a good start, and then the app's coming as well. The technology.
Next step.
Fantastic.
No, Christelle, thank you very much. And thank you for your time, and thank you for traipsing out to the best part of Cape Town, the Bloubergstrand. And look forward to speaking to you again. And let's not forget about the challenge on Chris and to monitor his driving behavior.
Okay.
If ever you want some statistical analysis that you could do on the worst driver that there is, it's probably Chris.
No, I have not had an accident. The only accident I've ever had and claim I've ever put in, which I'm still waiting for 4 months later as a third-party claim, I was parked at Cape Gate, went in, did my shopping, came out. Car guard came running, and I'm like, dude, just leave me alone. I don't want to pay you. And he's like, no, somebody hit your car when they were pulling out. That's the only thing. I've waited 4 months for that claim, by the way.
What kind of car do you drive?
Velocity City Golf. So it's expensive.
Is it a black one by any chance?
No, Tosca Blue. I have class. Yeah. It's a nice car. It's got nice
I agree.
But
Absolutely.
actually, just because of that car, it's a popular car for theft, et cetera, et cetera. So my insurance is just redonkulous.
Yes, and do you have mags on it and a gold exhaust?
No, not yet. No. I haven't even. No, not yet. Anyway, so I'll take up the challenge, and actually it'll be very interesting because I know that I can be quite an aggressive driver, and I do nip in between. And my kind of thinking when it comes to driving is also you got to be in the fast lane and going with the flow. Otherwise, if you're one of the slow people, you're actually more in danger. So it'll be nice actually to have the system installed, and then I can say, well, I'm converted. This has made a change now where even though I'm skeptical and worried about the reporting and that'll come out of it, actual fact, it makes a big difference in my life and my driving style, my petrol consumption and my insurance and all the benefits. So looking forward to that. And remember, always track on mua.co.za. That's where all the info is, mua.co.za.